Over the last 2 years, the consumer price index has risen to all-time highs as a result of numerous factors, such as global supply chain backlogs that create a gap between the supply and demand of materials, as well as increasing costs of energy and natural resources. This heightened inflation has created drastic changes in consumer behavior and spending habits. The application objective is to determine how one can live an inflation-proof lifestyle by analyzing the percentage change in the consumer price index across specific products and consumer baskets. This application also shows how to read a data file from Google Drive and load it directly to the business data lake using an analytical model. The application has just one entity, inflation. The application classifies as a data lakehouse, which is a large data repository that provides data management features such as curation, correlation, normalization, analyzation, and modelization to help users. First, go to the Setup Application tab and fill out the file structure. In our case, all the data is in one dataset, so there will only be one entity. After setting up the application, we can then create the meta model. Add the column names and respective data types from the dataset. Once you add the column, submit the meta model and go to the Create Analytical Model page. As mentioned in the application objectives, one of the goals for this application is to successfully connect to and bring data from Google Drive. To install the Google Drive connector, run the following commands. After the connector is finished installing, launch the connector with the following command. When you launch the connector, it will open your regular browser and prompt you to log in to your Google account. Select the account you want to sync and log in. You'll receive a success message if it's successful. Let's make a subdirectory under the home folder by running the following command on terminal. To inform the connector to mount your Google Drive folder at the specified location, run the following command. You can check if the directory is mounted using the following command. You can see that your drive is mounted successfully on the designated folder. In your local file system, you will see the My Google Drive folder, which should contain all the contents of the drive. From here, you can read the data, download the data, or upload files from your local to which will eventually sync to the drive and mounted folder. The analytical model allows users to pre-process and load the data directly to the business data lake. Here we have created one processor named inflation change, and inside that we will define the data flow. The first step under this processor is to read the data file from the Google Drive folder you have created in your local machine. The second step is to copy the Spark data frame to an R data frame and add the as of date column in the dataset. The third step is to fetch NAs, which are the string values from the dataset, and replace them with null values. The fourth step is to convert the data type to numeric for all numeric columns. The fifth step is to impute the null values in the dataset by the mean value of that particular column. Finally, the last step is to save the data to the business data lake. To run the analytical model, go to the Analytical Workload dropdown, select the module name as inflation and the processor name as inflation change, and run the analytical workload. This will load the data directly from your Google Drive folder to the fact folder in the business data lake. Once we finish running the analytical workload for the dataset, we can upload our data to Sprngy BI in order to create visualizations. Select the datasets option from the data dropdown in the top menu. Select the Add Dataset option. Set the database to Apache Hive, select the inflation database from Schema, and select which table you would like to add. To make a time series visualization plot, our dataset needs a time column that's in a date-time format. We have added one column called Year New. Initially, it will be a string data type, so we have to convert it into a data-time format. Click on the Edit symbol, and under Calculated Columns, write the following SQL query and select the data type as date-time. We will plot a time series percentage change graph. Under the Query in the Metrics section, we will give every column to be plotted. Set the x-axis to years and the y-axis to count. The graph shows a change in percentage values of the inflation rate from year to year. We can see that the inflation rate in medical care, fuels, fruits, and vegetables is higher than in other categories. We can have a more detailed look by selecting the time range, which might help us decide if we can substitute a similar item within the same category with another item with a lower inflation rate. Hence, this tool allows users to compare the change in prices between similar goods and help them transition to a lifestyle that is more economically feasible during rising inflation.